The FedLife podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve. Ed Zerndorfer is our guest and federal benefits expert in the space.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the FedLife podcast. I am your host, Dan Sipe. Additionally, I'm the branch manager here at Raymond James Financial Services, as well as Serving Those Who Serve and Lee Sipe and Associates. And I want to begin, as I always do, by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen, but most importantly, thank you for your service to the government, to the country, to me. You don't hear that enough. You'll always hear it here. The other thing you'll always hear with us at FedLife is the guru, Ed Zerndorfer. He is back with us again as part of our ongoing mission to reach, teach, and serve you. Once again, we're going to follow Ed's FedZone articles to give us one more way to reach and teach. And Ed, we've got a topic that I'm betting very few people have ever read about. And that's what's so special about what Ed does for us here. He really goes into the things that nobody else is writing about. And that is non-appropriated fund service for feds. So NAF, let's start with the basics. What is an NAF employee?
Well, Dan, I was very happy to write this column in the FedZone on NAF employees. Just want to say that about 20 years ago, as you know, I do webinars now.
Sure.
I do webinars. But before pre-COVID, I was doing seminars, live seminars all over the country for federal employees. And about 20 years ago, I was asked to do a retirement seminar for NAF employees. And the vendor that asked me said, no one knows about this. You know anything about NAF employees? As a matter of fact, I do. I know a lot about NAF employees. Because when I went to do live seminars on, particularly at military bases for civilian employees, they had this thing called MWR, which stands for Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. And what the MWR was, it was trying to help civilian spouses and families of active duty military to have programs like movies and child care centers and things like to support their active duty spouses and to help them get through this ordeal of being, away from home and things like that. So I was delighted to do this seminar, do the seminars. Now, what exactly is a NAF employee? A NAF employee is a federal employee, but they receive compensation. They're paid from what's called a non-appropriated fund instrumentality. Of course, Congress for instrumental funds, but it's not like a federal employee where they get their compensation. They're funded from Congress for the federal agency. NAF, as I say, NAF employees are federal employees, but in terms of their employment rules are not administered by the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, and all the benefits that are administered by OPM. The Defense Civilian Personnel Advisory Service, DCPS, establishes policy and provides clarification and interpretation of laws and government-wide regulations for NAF personnel. We're going to find out in a few moments that the benefits are almost the same as federal employees have, but there are some slight differences. A NAF employee who works the required amount of time can retire as a NAF employee. They get a retirement plan, they get a pension, they get health benefits and so on, but it's slightly different than what federal employees are. Matter of fact, if a NAF employee retires as a NAF employee and then gets a job as a civilian employee under CSR FERS, they can get extra retirement benefits. They're not double dipping, Dan. They earned this, but they are going to be getting, we'll find out later on, what their benefits will be in retirement. So in short, the best way to consider this is a NAF employee is a federal employee with similar but not identical benefits as a regular federal employee.
Okay. All right. And also the pot of money that pays them is not something that Congress appropriates to them, correct?
Exactly. It comes from what's called a non-appropriated fund instrumentality. I mean, a NAFI for short. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but basically, it's federal money. It's coming from one source, but it's just it's something. It's called something different.
Gotcha. And you write that the pay band system for NAF and how they relate to the GS and SES equivalents. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, it's very similar, but there are different types of pay bands. There are 6 pay bands. They call it NF1 through NF6, and this is where it is similar to federal employees. That there are some NAF employees that are on the general schedule, GS1s through SES. But I would say the difference here is this NFF band. And there's actually a separate pay band. It's called CY. CY1 and CY2 covers NAF employees who were child and youth program caregivers. This is all part of what I call the MWRs, supporting active duty personnel, in which the spouses of active duty personnel are working and they need child care programs. They need a child care center, and then they have programs for youth and so on, supporting our active duty personnel. And it's all administered through this MWR, in which the employees are NAF employees, simply put.
Gotcha. Okay. So from the article, you mentioned that their annual and sick leave policy is unique in some fashion?
Yeah, it's unique to NAF employees. I'm not exactly, I can't give you the specifics of it, but it's under a certain defense, the Department of Defense instruction 1406. They accrue annual leave and sick leave while they're in pay status, just like federal employees are. I don't know exactly how many hours they get let's say, for the first certain number of years that they're working. Then they move on to a higher number. Where sick leave probably is the same 4 hours of sick leave every 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's dig into the benefits. So tell us a little bit about the insurance benefits that are available to our NAF folks.
So NAF employees get health insurance, in which employees pay 30% of the insurance premiums. Federal employees on average pay 25 to 28% for the Federal Employee Health Benefits Program. This is not the Federal Employee Health Benefits Program NAF employees are in. In fact, in 2024, there's only one insurance carrier, Aetna. That's the only insurance carrier. And they have different types of health insurance plans that employees can choose. And they pay 30% of the premiums, and the agency pays the other 7. The agency they work for pays the other 70%. Once again, only one carrier. And of course, they can change the type of plan they're in during the open season, just like federal employees. As far as life insurance, they have life insurance benefits. I'm not certain how much the employee pays versus what the agency pays, but I will tell you this: it is a group plan, meaning what? That when they leave NAF employment, they lose that life insurance.
Gotcha.
If they move on to be a federal employee, then they can join the federal employee group life insurance program. But it is a group plan, and of course, the employee is more than entitled to sign up. They have to apply for a individual life insurance plan, which in most cases would be to their advantage. Number one, it may be a little cheaper, especially if they're healthy. But more importantly, it's theirs. They don't have to worry about, to stay as an employee. It goes with them no matter where they are.
No, that's great.
And then finally, there's long-term care insurance, which is the federal long-term care insurance program that they are eligible to apply for. Of course, they have to qualify for the federal long-term care insurance. It's for the employee, spouses of the employee, children over the age of 18. Each individually has to apply for it, and parents and in-laws of NAF employees can apply for the federal long-term insurance. Just want to say one thing, though. They can't do it now because the federal long-term care insurance program is not open to new applications. They're on a 2-year shutdown, so that they have to reevaluate the program, and that 2-year shutdown period will end in December of this year, December 19th, in which new applicants, and new employees, and employees can apply, retirees can apply. But once again, you have to get approved. You have to get approved.
Gotcha.
And you pay
Yep.
and the employees, retirees, pay the entire cost of the long-term care insurance. There is no government contribution.
Awesome. And I'll put this out there. If you're watching or listening to this right now and you're a NAF employee and you are that person at your agency, so you're him or you're her, and there's a couple of these places where Ed said he wasn't sure about something, hit us up at SWS@swserve.com. So let us know. If any blanks that you can fill in, we'll make sure we keep building it into our knowledge base. Ed is encyclopedic, but there's a million things out there. So if there is something that would be of help, let us know. We'll make sure we amplify that. So yeah, we have a great community and they are incredibly helpful to us. Okay. Now the next part is important. So an NAF person is typically not going to receive benefits from CSRS or FERS or TSP, correct? So what do they have?
Yes. A NAF employee is not covered by any retirement, any federal employee retirement plan. And I say federal employee, you are a CSRS employee or a FERS employee. You're contributing every 2 weeks to your respective retirement plan. Employees can voluntarily, or they should, like FERS employees, contribute to the TSP. Not the case with NAF employees. NAF employees have their own retirement plans, and there are two retirement plans. One is what's called a NAF retirement. It is a plan. It's a defined benefit plan. It's a guaranteed pension in which the employee contribute 2% of their gross salary every pay period to the retirement plan. Now, 2% that doesn't sound like a lot of money. Well, if you're a CSRS employee like I was, you're putting in 7%. If you're a FERS employee, you're putting in 0.8%, maybe 3.1 or 4.4%, depending when you're higher. So 2% is really not that much money, considering what they're going to be getting when they do retire as a NAF employee. When they retire when they're a NAF employee, they're getting a guaranteed pension. The agency is contributing much more to this NAF retirement plan compared to the employee, just like federal agencies contribute a lot more to the CSRS and FERS retirement fund on behalf of CSRS and FERS employees. Now, when are they vested in the plan? Vested in the plan. What does vested mean, Dan? It means that when they retire as a NAF employee, the pension will start. They'll get their first of lifetime checks from this NAF retirement plan 1 to 2 months after they retire. But they have to have a minimum five years of service contributing to that plan. It's the same thing is true in the civil service, CSRS and FERS plan. You are vested in the civil service retirement system, with the FERS retirement system, with a minimum 5 years of service. 5 years of service. 5 years of service. And of course, the real advantage, Dan, of the NAF retirement plan, like the CSRS annuity, like the FERS annuity, it's a guaranteed pension. What does that mean, Dan? It means you'll never outlive it. That's important. Retirees face a lot of challenges in retirement. One of which is making sure there's enough income, but also that their income will not just dry up. That means that suddenly they're not getting that retirement check. That will not happen with the NAF retirement plan. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. There are cost of living adjustments on it, and it'll go on forever. And I believe, I have to double check this, that a NAF employee retires can elect to give a survivor annuity to one person, usually to a spouse, and that's important. So the spouse will not end up, when the NAF retiree dies, that the pension will stop.
Gotcha.
And one other thing I just want to mention, that like federal employees, a NAF employee can purchase up to 5 years of military service. If they were active duty military, they can make a deposit for their active duty military service that'll be credited for purposes of computing their NAF retirement. They can buy in somewhat, add years of service for purposes of computing the NAF retirement plan. This is important because the more years a NAF employee works, the more they contribute to the NAF retirement plan, the larger will be their starting NAF retirement plan. We preach this all the time, Dan, during our retirement seminars. If you have an opportunity to increase your retirement, your CSRS retirement, or your FERS retirement, by making a deposit, please do so.
Absolutely.
I hate Monday morning quarterbacks. I hate when a retiree says, Ed, I should have made a deposit for my 5 years of military service or 10 years of military service. I didn't do it. I didn't listen to it, when I was told I could make this deposit. Now I regret it. It's too late. You can't do it after you retire.
Agree. Now, they don't participate in TSP, correct?
They do not contribute in the TSP. However, they have the equivalent of the TSP. It's called a NAF 401k. It's a qualified retirement plan. It's like the TSP in the sense that the NAF employees contribute to the plan via payroll deduction. They can put in a certain amount of money each year. The amount that they can put in is the same amount, the maximum amount each year as TSP. Like, for example, this year in 2024, a NAF employee can contribute the maximum to this 401k plan, $23,000, like the TSP, $23,000. And if they're 50 or older, another $7,500, which is a total of $30,500. All these contributions are made from payroll deduction. They cannot write a check out from a retirement account. And they get matching. And what is that matching? It's a maximum of 3%. The NAF employee would have to contribute a minimum 4% of their pay each pay date in order to get the maximum match from the agency of 3% for the year.
Gotcha. Now, your article threw me a little bit of a curve, Ed, because I was following along and I was tracking. And then you shared that in some instances, NAF employees can retire under CSRS or FERS. How might that happen?
And that may happen, Dan. Let's say a NAF employee worked for 10 years. A NAF employee worked 10 years as a NAF employee and decided they want to get into federal employment. So they get a job as a federal employee, work for any civilian agency. Now they're under the federal employment rules in terms of their being enrolled in being a CSRS employee, service offset employee maybe, or a FERS employee. Now they're contributing to the CSRS FERS retirement plan. And now they can contribute to the TSP. But you got to remember, let's say this NAF employee left NAF service after serving a minimum 5 years, because remember we said 5 years are vested. They are going to get a NAF guaranteed pension, which will start at age 62. Okay. But now they're building up their own retirement through as a federal employee, getting a FERS annuity. If they work a minimum 5 years as a FERS employee, they can contribute to the TSP. Now they have this 401k plan. So what can they do with this leftover 401k plan? They can't contribute anymore to the 401k plan. They can, if they want to, request a direct transfer of the 401k plan into their TSP. They can merge the accounts.
Gotcha.
Merge the accounts.
Okay. So, but there's no buying in the NAF time to add it to CSRS or FERS.
No, you cannot. You cannot make a deposit buying in into CSRS based on NAF service.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So then, how's life and health insurance handled in those situations?
Yes.
Are they just saying goodbye to what they had and getting new stuff when they come over, or what's the deal there?
Yeah. In terms of the health insurance, the NAF health insurance requires 15 years. In order to carry your health insurance as a NAF employee into NAF, you're going to retire as a NAF employee, you must have had at least 15 years of cumulative participation in the program, NAF health program. And I got some good news, though. In that sense, I got some good news. Let's say a NAF employee left after, let's say, I don't know, 17 years of NAF service. Not left after 17 years of NAF service. But they weren't in the NAF health program for all 17 years. Participation in the federal employee health benefits program will count towards that minimum 15-year rule. They will get credit for the 15-year rule. Okay. When they retire from federal service, they will be also eligible for the federal employee health benefits program. But in order to have the federal employee health benefits program, they must have participated in the federal employee health insurance program for a minimum 5 years. 5 years, the last 5 years of their federal service. If they're going to retire from federal service, they must have had a minimum 5 years of federal service. And while the last 5 years of federal service, they were enrolled in the FEHB program, FEH program. So in that sense, they may have a choice to carry their the NAF health insurance program into retirement or their FEHB.
Gotcha. And then I'd imagine, are there similar rules between the two of them regarding unused annual and sick leave?
Yeah, NAF employees retiring under CSRS, they're going to retire under CSRS, will get paid for all of their unused annual leave in a lump sum payment. That's when they retire. And any unused sick leave that the NAF employee had accumulated as a federal employee will be added to their service, will be converted to months and days of service and added to their service time as a CSRS for employees for purposes of computing their CSRS PERS annuity. You can't use it for eligibility purposes to retire, but it can be used for computation purposes.
Gotcha. So those two mirror across the two plans. Wow, brother. I've said it a million times. You're the only guy taking the time to research and write about this. And folks, if there's any shades or nuances in there that you think we missed, again, ask SWS at stwserve.com. Let us know. We'll update. We always want to make sure that we've got the best info out there. But I'll say it again. Ed's the only guy, and this is the only place where you're going to find this stuff. So, Ed, outstanding. Thank you for another great and timely article.
I didn't mention that I did a little research. There's currently about 100,000 NAF employees out there. 100,000 NAF employees nationwide or across the world or all over the place. And I hope they have access to the FedZone as well as all the other information on the Serving Those Who Serve website. But please, if you know someone who's a NAF employee, not aware of this, have them go to www.fed-zone.com.
Absolutely.
All the columns we have. This NAF column came up as a suggestion. Again, thank you, Dan, for making that suggestion. I was happy to do it. And please spread the word, and please take advantage of all the other information that's on the Serving Those Who Serve website, www.stwserve.com. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Ed, I'm going to expand my thank you because I thank you on behalf of feds. What I'm going to say on behalf of NAF feds, CSRS feds, FERS feds, offset feds, every single possible fed. Thank you for being such a great resource for us and for them. And well, folks, that is a wrap. We are Serving Those Who Serve. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast on our YouTube channel and Spotify. Please remember to share it with friends and strangers. Check us out on Twitter and LinkedIn. And don't forget our live webinars. Check them out. We have them going pretty much every single week. Just go to the SWS website, stwserve.com. You will see the blue button turns red. Click it, takes you to the landing page, and you will see our entire menu. The guru will come to you, reach you where you are, teach you where you are, and above all, serve you where you are. Sign up for one, sign up for all. Share your page with your friends and enemies. They will thank you. And be sure to read Ed every single week in the FedZone. He's got great stuff coming in over and over and over again. You can find that at blog.stwserve.com as well as fed-zone.com. So wrapping it up for Ed, the crew at Serving Those Who Serve, and me, Dan Sipe, good luck, Godspeed, and above all, remember, it is your Fed life. Please make it a great one because you deserve it. Stay well, everybody. We are out.